Bienvenue, my power bottoms. In order for you to understand why I titled the video the way I did, you need to know a couple of things. Number one, this woman, mayor of somewhere in Illinois, is being investigated for misusing funds meant for her community and instead using it for her own personal gain and luxury. Number two, if you are someone who is black and you openly criticize this woman, put a pin in that because we're going to come back to it later, she's going to be very upset with you because you're black and she's black. And how dare you hold a black person who is in a position of power to such a high standard to where you criticize them when you see them being investigated for something clearly obvious if you pay attention to how she acts during interviews where she is being questioned about this, and if you look at her and how she promotes herself all around the city and on Instagram and TikTok and all other forms of social media.
Y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Y'all black. Y'all are black. And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a black woman that's in power. Y'all should be ashamed of yourself.
Number three, if you're not black and you just so happen to be one of the people who wants to have discussion about this at, a town hall meeting, you can show up to the official building where it will be held and you will be given the workaround.
What happened when you tried to go upstairs to the board meeting?
The security guard won't let me up. He just stands at the bottom of the stairs like this.
Politicians don't always like to hear from the public, but some South suburban residents say controversial supervisor and mayor Tiffany Henyard has gone too far.
Yeah, they say she took extraordinary, potentially illegal measures to prevent them from speaking at a public meeting. Dame Placco has more.
The sign outside its headquarters says, "Welcome to Thornton Township, people working with people." But when residents showed up last night to speak at a public board meeting, they got anything but a warm welcome.
When I arrived, there was security here. He was standing at the bottom of the stairs, preventing anybody from going up to the boardroom. I asked him if the meeting was downstairs. He replied yes.
Stephanie Wiedemann and a handful of other residents wanted to speak directly to Thornton Township Supervisor Tiffany Henyard, also the mayor of Dalton, who's generated controversy for spending hundreds of thousands of tax dollars on trips, police security, billboards, and her own personal charity.
I'm just curious to see who makes the decisions about how our tax dollars are being spent.
But they never got that chance. After being blocked from going to the boardroom upstairs, they were sent to the basement where they were told the township board meeting would be held. It wasn't. They asked for a sign-up sheet for public comment, never got it. And before they knew what had happened, the 4-minute meeting upstairs was over, and Henyard was gone, without hearing from her constituents.
They are violating our rights. I pay taxes here. I have a right to get up and speak whether this administration likes it or not.
And not only were the residents shut out, so was a local newspaper reporter who came here to cover the meeting.
I was told by a security guard that I was not allowed upstairs where the boardroom meeting is.
Josh Bootsma of the Lansing Journal says residents deserve to know how elected officials are spending their money.
Thornton Township is the largest township in Illinois. And so there are a lot of people that are affected by the decisions, the financial decisions that this township makes.
Even Thornton Township trustee Chris Gonzalez, a frequent Henyard critic, was ordered out of the boardroom until the meeting began. Do you think any laws were broken last night by the way they handled the public?
Well, definitely. I mean, if somebody wants to speak, it's a public meeting, it's a public building, they should be able to come in.
The residents say they'll file a complaint with the Illinois Attorney General's office for violating the Open Meetings Act. Our attempts to contact Henyard also went nowhere.
I saw an article come out where people were claiming that the mayor was messing with their businesses because they didn't want to give any money towards her political campaign. And originally, I was going to do a video about that because as someone currently being investigated for misusing funds, don't you think it would be smart if you didn't have people who are in your community coming together to say, hey, this woman is messing with my business because I'm not supporting her campaign anymore after she's bullied and bullied and bullied for more money? That would have been a smart decision, and it seems like this woman is not a smart human being. But then another article came out, and while I'll say it now and I'll say it after I finish reading it, I'm a little bit skeptical, and I don't want to put too much stock in this, and I will gladly wait to see if any more details about this come out. It is a little bit concerning that people have such mistrust in you to the point where they're going to start speculating that if they criticize criticize you, you will orchestrate to have them either killed or their property damaged. Vocal critic of embattled Mayor Tiffany Heinyard, terrible name, believes her home was sprayed with bullets at the behest of the official during a bitter feud between them last summer. Two cars belonging to tenants of former Village of Dalton trustee Valeria Stubbs, great name, a retired member of the Cook County Sheriff's Office, were riddled with at least 9 shots last July. The rage, she believes, stemmed from her public attacks on Heinyard, who has been accused of plundering the debt-ridden Illinois town's coffers to pay for lavish travel, dinners, and personal indulgences. Asked if she believes Heinyard, who is 40, was behind the shooting, Stubbs didn't hesitate. Absolutely, she told the Post. Stubbs says Heinyard personally menaced her at her home several times prior to the incident, the first during a snowstorm last winter. At the time, Stubbs had accused the mayor of hiring a registered sex offender as a village code enforcement officer and publicly demanded he be removed from his position.
Hold on, because it went over my head as I was reading it, and to make sure it doesn't go over your head, I'm going to say it again. This woman hired a registered sex offender, and surprise, surprise, the community was not okay with that.
As a resident of Dalton, what do you think about that hire?
They need to do a better job of background checking. That's awful.
Residents of South Suburban Dalton reacting to a Fox 32 investigation that found a new village employee with a dangerous criminal past.
He is a registered child sex offender, and he's now been hired by the village to go into people's homes and businesses.
Now, furious village trustees are taking steps to curb the mayor's power. Fox 32's Dane Placco broke the story, and he has the latest from Dalton.
What is the situation involving your background?
Well, my background, a childhood background, over 30 years ago.
46-year-old Lavelle Redmond wasn't happy to see us when we encountered him today behind Dalton Village Hall. But listen again to the person on the phone telling him to stop talking.
30 years ago.
We don't know who that is, but we do know who got Redmond his village job. Redmond is close to new Dalton Mayor Tiffany Heinyard and worked on her campaign. Records obtained by Fox 32 show that on September 20th, Redmond was hired as a code enforcement officer for the village of Dalton, a job that gives him access inside homes and businesses, which is why Dalton residents were shocked when we showed them what we found online.
Oh my God. Don't they supposed to do background checks before they allow these people in these kind of positions?
One would think, right?
Yes.
That's because Redmond is listed as a child sex offender on the Illinois State Police Registry. He served 24 years of a 50-year sentence for taking part in the brutal gang and beating of 2 young girls in the Roseland neighborhood in 1991. News reports at the time say Redmond was one of 4 young men who kidnapped the girls and took them to an abandoned garage where they were sexually assaulted and beaten with boards and guns.
I would be terrified to know now if he had come to my house to do a code inspection. I would be terrified.
That's crazy. I don't know. He won't get in my house, though.
Dalton trustees say Redmond was hired directly by Mayor Heinyard and her village administrator, former Cook County Circuit Court Clerk Dorothy Brown. Did the trustees have any input in this hire?
No, the trustees have not had any input on any hire since the swearing in of this administration.
We tried talking to Mayor Heinyard, but a police officer in front of her home told us we couldn't knock on the door. Later, the mayor issued a statement. I and the village of Dalton take the safety of our residents very serious, and we would never put our residents in jeopardy. In regard to the matter of the employee who's the subject of recent news stories, know that the incident referred to occurred nearly 30 years ago, and they paid their debt to society. We believe that a person can be rehabilitated, and we believe in second chances.
You know, I'm for second chances, but the fact that he's on the registry and the fact that he's going inside of homes, that's what caused an alarm and caused concern for me in regards to my safety and the rest of the residents.
In Dalton, Dane Placco, Fox 32 Chicago.
Hiniard and her team did not respond to calls for comment from the Post Monday. Soon after, Hiniard posted a bizarre video of herself personally shoveling snow from Stubbs' driveway. I have not seen this video as of me recording this, and I'm going to look for it so I can see if it's anywhere out there, and if I find it, I'll put it in. If I don't find it, oh well. Several months later, after an unsuccessful recall effort Stubbs helped to organize, Hiniard again came to her property with an intimidating caravan of police and city workers. The retired deputy said, "I wasn't home, and they rang all the doorbells of me and my tenants asking where I was. They called me and told me there were all these people outside. I called Hiniard, but she didn't even answer. I wanted it on record that this woman was coming to my house and harassing me. I told her not to come to my house again under any circumstances." 2 months later, Stubbs woke up around 6:30 a.m. to a barrage of gunshots. She went outside and comforted a shaken bystander who had been waiting for the bus nearby at the time. Stubbs later went to the back of her home and saw two of her tenants' cars strafed with bullet holes and shell casings on the ground. A video recorded by the neighbor's doorbell camera, great job New York Post, captured the shots and showed two men running from the scene, jumping in a white car and screeching off. She reported the shooting to the local police, but said that the department is stocked with the mayor's allies. They refused to give me the police report, and I haven't heard anything since. We don't trust the police here. Residents in the neighborhood are so afraid they now tell each other where they are going for outings and notify neighbors when they get home. If you reach a point where your community is not trusting you to the point where they think you're somebody orchestrating all these issues in their neighborhoods in a spot where they are criticizing you, it is not the wisest thing under the sun. And again, I'm not really putting too much stock in this because, yes, it's a concerned citizen who has had open criticisms about a mayor, and conveniently, all these people are showing up to her neighborhood and her area. And of course, in your mind, you're supposed to speculate, but you're not really supposed to put too much stock into that. Unless you have some significant evidence to back that up, you cannot really go around letting people know that, because that creates more panic that could be unjustifiable in relation to everything serious that's going on. Yes, it's concerning. Yes, if there are details that would back up these claims, I would want that broadcast to the public, because if it's true, holy shit, y'all have a cartoon villain as a fucking mayor leading a city for no one else but herself. But if it's not true, leave it to the side and just let everything that's actually credible fall within the cracks, because eventually this woman needs to be kicked out of this position. Why? Because it's clear she's not best for the community. And the more she stays, the more it's an embarrassment to everybody who actually wants to see the community be better, because it's currently being ran into a fucking circus show, and that's not something anybody wants to see. But let me know, do you think a mayor is orchestrating hits out on people, or do you think it's just common criminals trying to get a lick on a bunch of innocent people, and within all the panic and the circumstances going around, they're thinking maybe this mayor had something to do with it? And cards on the table, I don't think that mayor had anything to do with this. I think it's just common criminals trying to catch a lick, and there's nothing else to it. And if I'm wrong, I will be raising my eyebrows and saying, yep, I'm wrong about that one, and y'all really need to get rid of this fucking mayor. But in the meantime, subscribe to the channel for more insane stories like this. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah! Goodbye.